What's going on, everybody? The Original Mako back with some more Gunfire Reborn content, and today, first things first, please check the links in the description and head to my Twitch channel and drop it a follow, because at the time this video goes up tomorrow, we're going to be having our first weekly Sunday fun day. Okay? It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be Gunfire Reborn themed. You guys are going to be controlling the run, making me do things I don't want to do. I'm going to be eating probably way too many of these very hot chips, okay? And if you want to make me eat more of them, you're going to want to be there. But it's going to be super interactive, a ton of fun. A lot of really cool people are going to be in chat. So try to drop by if you can tomorrow. The stream's going to be starting around 6, 7, 8, 8 Eastern at the latest, but 6, 7. As early as I can start it, I will. So check that out. If you want to know exactly when I start it, hop in the Discord, which is also linked in the description, and I'll be announcing when I go live in there. That being said, though, this was a video that was requested by somebody. I'm going to be doing my favorite synergies, or something I think is a really good synergy for each character. The synergies are going to consist of a weapon, or 2 weapons in the case of the dog, 3 scrolls, and 3 ascensions that I think you should focus on getting. And that's going to be, I obviously can't do a full, like, 12 scrolls for each thing, or exactly how many ascensions you need, but I'm going to do 3 scrolls and 3 ascensions that I think you should worry about building first for each different hero. So, that being said, let's just go ahead and hop into it, and we'll start rolling through each one here. And we'll just go in order. So, we'll start with the dog. And for the weapon of choice, or should I say weapons of choice, most of you are not going to be surprised. I would say 2 tiger cannons is my choice, synergy of choice for the dog. Obviously, most of the time you want to be building explosions. Tiger cannon, a really fun explosive weapon to work with, and having 2 of them just makes it even more fun, double the fun. Then we're going to go on to the scrolls that I think you should try to pick up. Some of the more important ones for this synergy. The first one we're going to talk about is Preemptive Strike. First aim on the magazine deals 50% extra damage. Most of the time, your Tiger Cannon is going to have 1 bullet in the mag. Occasionally it might have more, but Preemptive Strike is usually going to be proccing on most of your shots, and 50% extra damage on a weapon that does a ton of damage is no joke. Also, just so you guys know, I'm going to try to stay away from like scrolls and weapons that are like really good on every character no matter what. So like backup shield or phantom skin, gold medal, most of the time advanced depot, the illusion as a weapon, stuff like that. I'm going to try to make it like really specific for a certain synergy. And like snow boots, like you never want to not take snow boots. But anyways, that being said, Preemptive Strike, scroll number 1. Let's move on to scroll number 2, which is a Deadly Counter. After taking damage, all hits become crits for 3 seconds. Deadly Counter is massive because obviously with a Tiger Cannon, you can't crit. This makes it so every time you take damage, your shots are critting for 3 seconds, and you're doing even more damage with a weapon that already does a ton of damage. And Deadly Counter is just a must-have with this build. Anytime you can get it, you're going to have a lot more fun. It's going to do a ton more damage, and just really helps out. And then the third scroll we're going to talk about is somewhere here, Explosive Bullets. So non-element weapons, which most of the time your Tiger Cannon is going to be non-element, has a 20% chance of causing an additional explosion damage to 100%, equal to 100% of the base damage. So you basically just have a chance to hit twice. 20% chance to hit twice with your bullet, and that's with a Tiger Cannon, that's absolutely massive. So this can equate to a ton of damage. Obviously, if you have an elemental Tiger Cannon, it kind of gets scrapped. But most of the time, the Tiger Cannon's not going to be an elemental type. So it's usually a very good weapon to have, and just does a ton of damage, a ton of extra damage you can get out of this. Now, for the 3 ascensions that you should try to build first, we're going to start with the one that you should be building first and whenever you can, and that is Sustained Fire. After killing an enemy or destroying an item, weapon damage and explosion damage plus 50% for 6 seconds, and it just keeps going more. And then for even more time at tier 3. This increases weapon damage, explosion damage. This is there's nothing to say other than there's never a reason you would not want this in pretty much any build on this hero, but definitely with an explosive build you want some sustained fire. Chances are you're going to be killing things every 6 seconds, so you're probably going to have this procced most of the time. The next thing you want to be building is Mad Bomber, and you obviously get the extra explosive damage, but the big thing that you get is at tier 3 you have a 30% chance to deal double damage. So now if we think about this here, if you have Mad Bomber tier 3 and you have explosive bullets, you now have, there's going to be times when you're doing like triple the amount of damage you normally would, because explosive bullets proc and Mad Bomber procs. So Mad Bomber is good, but at tier 3 it is elite, an elite ascension that you want to try to get to tier 3 ASAP. And then the third ascension you're going to want is Explosion Enhancement. This one's a pretty basic one. You get extra explosive damage and you get AoE, a bigger AoE range, which in an explosive build, AoE is king. So this is obviously another really, really good choice. There's some other ascensions that are good too, but these are the main 3 you want to be looking out for right away as soon as you can get them. Like, I would go in that order. Sustained Fire is probably the most important, Mad Bomber 2, and then Explosion Enhancement 3, but they're all amazing for this synergy specifically. So that's the dog. That is my go-to synergy on the dog. Love it. Ton of fun, ton of damage, and you're going to be just mowing through things pretty damn quick. So next up, we have El Gato. I think gato is cat in Spanish. I don't know. I should probably know that though. First off, weapon for the cat. No surprise, probably to most people. The Dual Fang. After a brief charge up, fires full auto and alternates shots between corrosion and fire. The cat is the king of elemental damage, so a weapon that has a chance that does 2 different types of elements as damage, sign me up, right? That's perfect. The Dual Fang, I have a few runs on the channel of Dual Fang on the cat. It is so good. If you get the right ascensions and scrolls, like, this is one of the most fun runs to do in the game, in my opinion. So next we'll talk about the scrolls. And the first one, and most important one, should seem pretty obvious, but it is our good friend, Elemental Weave. So element damage will always cause elemental effect within 3 seconds of swapping weapons. So what do? There's a little symbol that'll pop up at the bottom of your screen when you switch weapons, a little Elemental Weave symbol, and you can basically swap weapons and then swap back to your Dual Fang, wait for that to go down, and as soon as it's gone, swap and then swap back again. And then you're guaranteed to be doing fire and corrosion on every single shot, which is silly, mind you. That's so unbelievably good. Any type of rate of fire increase on the Dual Fang that you can get makes this even better. Those 2 things together alone with the cat are unbelievably good. But on top of Elemental Weave, for the obvious reasons, the other 2 are going to be Corrosion Shard. So you get an extra 25% corrosion damage, which obviously if you have the Dual Fang, you're going to be doing a lot of corrosion damage. The smoke grenades from the cat do corrosive damage, so even more corrosive damage there. So a lot of increased damage from this. And you don't get slowed from enemy corrosion or any sort of corrosive trap, anything like that. And if it's paired, also while you're decayed, you get while you're decayed, you also get double corrosion damage. And the third scroll that we're going to talk about, if it's paired with, that makes it really, really good, is Corrosion Enthusiast. Whenever you inflict decay onto the enemy, you also inflict decay on yourself, which will proc the Corrosion Shard double damage, and you get an additional 40% movement speed because you don't have you don't get affected by the slow because you have Corrosion Shard. So Elemental Weave is the best one by far, but then if you can pair the Corrosion Shard with Corrosion Enthusiast, it's just absolutely elite combo. So definitely going to want that. Those are the 3 scrolls I would say you'd look out for the most. They all work really well individually, but together Corrosion Shard and Corrosion Enthusiast are obviously just amazing. So now for the Ascensions you're going to want to take. Probably not a lot of surprises here. First and foremost, Pyro Dominance and Acid Dominance. I don't know if I'd rank one over the other. I'd probably rank Acid Dominance ahead just because of the fact that obviously your smoke grenades get affected too. But Pyro Dominance tier 3 is definitely better. Doubles the damage caused by burning effect and the fusion effect of burn and decay, which if you have Elemental Weave is going to be happening every single shot, or every other shot. So doubling that damage is insane, and then having an extra corrosive damage and smoke grenade every time you crit an enemy. Both of these just elite when you're doing this synergy. And then next we have Hex Smoke. This one's pretty obvious. Enemies affected by your smoke grenade do less damage to you, and you do more damage to them. So that's just a win-win all around. So there's no reason you would want to not have this. Any run you ever do with the cat, you probably want Hex Smoke. But for this synergy specifically, Pyro Dominance, Acid Dominance, and Hex Smoke are the 3 you want to be looking out for. So, cat, done, dusted, dual Fang, Elemental Weave, Corrosion Shard, Corrosion Enthusiast, Pyro Dominance, Acid Dominance, and Hex Smoke. That is a synergy that is unstoppable in any mode. Nightmare enemies will fear you if you go in with that synergy. Next up, we have the Bird. And this one was a little bit more difficult because the Bird's best thing that he does is just being able to live, just survive. So, like, he doesn't have any real specific super good synergies. Obviously, close range weapons work really well with him because he wants to be close to enemies. He has within range. But the only reason I'm going to do this one is, once again, I'm trying to stay away from, like, Advanced Depot. Because Advanced Depot, there's very few times you wouldn't want it. But this synergy with this weapon only works on the Bird unless you have Advanced Depot. It could work on other characters, but we're going to assume Advanced Depot doesn't exist for our sake. So, on the Bird, and basically it's just because one of his Ascensions, but either way, we'll talk about it. I'll go into detail. We're going to start with the weapon. And the weapon I'm going to go with is our good friend, the Wild Hunt. So it's got 2 bullets in the mag. You press the fire button for the first shot, and then as soon as you release it, the second shot comes out. So you can shoot it very, very quickly, but obviously you have to reload in between. Pretty much every time you press the trigger and release the trigger, you're going to be reloading. Unless... I guess we're going to go scrolls first, aren't we? But it's good on the Bird anyway by default because you're close range. The Bird likes to be up close and personal with enemies. So having Wild Hunt is a good thing on the Bird in general. So the inscriptions, or the scrolls we're going to go with are, first one, Deft Hands. For obvious reason, after you kill an enemy or destroy an item, shooting does not consume ammo for the next 2 seconds. So for 2 seconds, you can literally just spam the Wild Hunt. And if you're killing more enemies, you can continue to spam the Wild Hunt as long as you're killing an enemy every 2 seconds. So it's like a pseudo Advanced Depot, but it's not like advanced. Like, just work with me, okay? I'm sure you guys can come up with better synergies for the Bird, but this is one that I think is a lot of fun, and it works really well with Deft Hands. Obviously, the only issue is if you use your first 2 bullets to kill an enemy, then some of your Deft Hands time is taken up by reloading. So we kind of have a way to get around that with the Bird's Ascensions, which is why this is best on the Bird. But either way, Deft Hands, obviously a really good option. Next up, we have Merciless Combo. Don't think there's too much argument here. I mean, you're going to be hitting enemies every second at least. So this effect can stack crazy high, especially, when you've got Deft Hands going. You've got proccing that constantly while proccing this constantly. You're killing enemies quicker. You're proccing Deft Hands more. These two just work really well together, and Merciless Combo is just an amazing scroll when you're using a high rate of fire weapon, such as the Wild Hunt, especially when you're not reloading very often. And the third one is going to be Bullet Bank, actually. Now, yes, I'm sure there's some others that could, you know, pump damage and all that, but assuming you don't have Advanced Depot, you're probably still going to be using up a lot of ammo with this weapon. It doesn't hold a ton of ammo, so having Bullet Bank in order to kind of counter that is really good. You're never going to run out of ammo if you have Bullet Bank, ever, unless you're just not killing things and just missing all your shots. But Bullet Bank, definitely one that you want on pretty much any weapon that uses heavy ammo, but especially on like a Wild Hunt that just chews through your ammo. So those are the 3 scrolls I would take. And then for the Ascensions, the most important one here and why this works best on the bird is the Hail of Bullets. So plus 30% weapon damage, plus 20% lucky shot chance, and consume no ammo for the first 3 shots after reload. So when you reload the Wild Hunt, you start shooting. Your first 3 shots, you're not going to consume any ammo. So if you have Deft Hands, you get 3 shots to kill an enemy, and then you can keep shooting without having to reload. It's just a really good way to like prevent yourself from having to reload and waste Deft Hands time. This is very good at making sure you don't waste Deft Hands time. Plus you get increased weapon damage and you get extra lucky shot. So it's just really good. And then you get 4 extra shots and 5 extra shots the next tier. So this is probably the first one you're going to be looking out for. Number 2, this is kind of like the Hex Smoke of the bird, where you always want this. Nova release. Per enemy killed, you get plus 5 max armor for 6 seconds. With this synergy, you're going to be killing things quick, so you're probably going to kill something every 6 seconds. And then once you keep going up tiers, you have more time to kill things, and you get more armor. And at tier 3, Nova release can get so silly. There's a video on my channel where I had like 1400 armor at once or something. Like, Nova release is such a good defensive ascension that you just have to go for it. Like, you just have to. And then the third one is another one that's pretty obvious. Within range. You're going to be close with the Wild Hunt. You're going to be right there. You want to have within range, just doing extra damage when you get close, killing things quicker, proccing Deft Hands more, proccing Nova release more. You know, it just works well with this build. So those are the 3 you're going to want to look out for. Hail of Bullets, Nova release, within range, all really good. But I think I listed them in the order you'd like to upgrade them. So that being said, we're going to move on to our last one, the Tiger, Snow Leopard, whatever you want to call him, lay low. And this one's disappointing because before the most recent patch, this would have looked so much different. But because of the most recent patch, this is going to look a little bit different than I would have liked it to, but that's okay. It's okay. We adapt to and overcome. So the weapon of choice is going to be one of my favorites in the game currently. On any character, honestly. I just really like this weapon's design, how it feels, how it works. But it's definitely better on the Snow Leopard or Tiger than any of the other characters, and that's the Strike Wing. So when you hit the enemy, it splits up to 3 shards that fly at enemies behind the target. That's pretty dang good. Being able to do a ton of damage to a single enemy, because it's considered a sniper, and then spreading that damage out AoE style with a sniper is really, really nice. And it just helps you clear rooms quick. Like, it's just a really, really good overall weapon. And the fact that it's considered a sniper is obviously important because of the talents here. You get an extra chance to get it from enemies. And then when using a sniper rifle, 50% chance of triggering a crit, which has a 70% crit X of the current weapon, even if you miss weakness. So as long as you're using a sniper, you don't even have to crit sometimes. So it's really good for that and for some ascensions that we'll talk about after we go through the scrolls. So the scrolls, first one, we've already seen it on this list, but it's really good in this scenario too. It's just good in a lot of scenarios. But explosive bullets. Chances are your Strike Wing is going to be non-elemental, and if so, it has a 20% chance of basically just doing double damage as explosions. Never a reason to not want this. unless you have an elemental strike wing, obviously, but if you don't, it's just an extra damage, chance to double damage. With a sniper, that's going to be a lot of damage, and on a character that you're already doing a lot of damage on, it can help just pump those numbers up and kill things even quicker. Second one, I don't think it's too much of a shock here. I probably should have done this one first, but it's, where do you go? Long shot. Increase your damage the further you away. Wow, let's just breathe. Okay, the further you are away from an enemy, up to 100%. So if you're far enough away, you just do double the damage you normally would. This has 0 drawbacks. There's nothing you can get but extra damage from this. So really good, works really well with the bow that does damage from range and on a character that wants you to do damage from range. So makes a lot of sense. And then the third one is obviously another really obvious one here. Hawkeye Sight, plus 200 crit, plus 200% crit. When you don't trigger a crit, you have minus 50% damage, but the fact that even when you're not hitting the crit, you have a 50% chance to crit means this has even less drawback than usual, and its benefits almost always outweigh the drawbacks anyway. So the fact that it has even less drawbacks means you're definitely going to want to try to find this. This is the premier scroll you can get in this synergy, and it's the one you want to look for first every single time. Now for the ascensions for our friend Tiger here. First one you're going to want to look for and build is pretty obvious. Storm Blast. Just makes you do more damage on your crits when you use your ability. It obviously got nerfed a little bit, but it's still very, very good, and you still want this to be pumping up those big numbers. Makes your boss damage, like, this is just, I don't really have to say much about this. It's just good. It's what you want. Next up is Thunder Turbo. There's a lot of things to read here. All you have to know is that when you kill enemies with crits or your Thunder Strike shot, you get layers that can stack, and for each layer you get additional skill and weapon damage. And at tier 3, it's silly. You can get up to a maximum of, quick math, 120%, I believe, weapon damage and skill damage. And you don't lose these layers until your shield is broken. So as long as you keep your shield, you'll keep these layers forever. Super good. Can equate to a ton of extra damage, ton of good skill damage, weapon damage, all that stuff. Thunder Turbo is a very, very, very good ascension when you're going for damage. In this synergy and any other synergy where you want high damage, Thunder Turbo is always something to look out for. And then third, once again, another just pretty obvious, Eye of the Storm. 15% weapon damage for sniper on next hit to the same target after dealing damage with the sniper. So the Strike Wing's really good at clearing wave rooms because of the, AoE spread, but it can occasionally struggle with bosses. This helps it with bosses because you're going to be stacking damage on the same target. So this is just a good way to counter one of its weaknesses, if you can call it a weakness, of single target, like doing high damage to a single target. And it's just a great scroll to have, considering the bow gets to be a sniper. So those are the three you're going to want. Those are, my favorite synergies, and I think some of the better synergies for each hero. Obviously, the bird one's kind of Once again, all the birds synergy is good for is just staying alive. Like, that's his best synergy, is living. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what some of your favorite synergies are on each character. And like I said, be sure to check the description, check out the Twitch link. You're going to want to be there tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I think it'll be fun. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate the support. I love each and every one of your faces. And I will catch you guys in the next video.